between Iran and the east, Venezuela to the south, and the rest. Next, we're talking about the press, because every single one of those stories was brought to you by a journalist. Stay with us.
Thank you, and anytime.
You're a woman in business, it's time to go bigger.
Your ambition is calling, and Horizon for Women in Business is answering.
Horizon, a new loan product from Access Financial Services designed for women entrepreneurs to unlock the capital you need to grow and take your business beyond limits. With quick approval, flexible repayment, and low interest rates, your success is on the horizon.
Call us now. The funds are waiting.
Your success is on the horizon.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Head straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people them I say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit it down. Shine your lights on.
Welcome back to Lead Story. Consider the demands placed on journalism tonight. In the last hour in this program, we've reported on a ballistic missile intercepted over a NATO member state, a Caribbean community navigating the most complex geopolitical environment in a generation. And later, we'll look at a domestic case of gender-based violence that has mobilized this nation. Every single one of those stories required verification, legal scrutiny, source discipline, and editorial courage. That is what journalism is supposed to do. The question tonight is whether the institutions that make that journalism possible are still standing, and for how long, especially with the very changing world in which we live. The Press Association of Jamaica, formed in 1943, the first organization of its kind in the entire Commonwealth Caribbean. This week, it marks a Press Week 2026 under the theme, Truth Always. The context in which that theme is being proclaimed is this. The Reuters Institute Digital News Report for 2024 found that global trust in news has fallen to a historic low of 40%. Social media has surpassed traditional broadcasts as the primary news source for adults under 35. Advertising revenue has migrated to platforms like Meta and Google. And across the Caribbean, media houses have closed or contracted significantly. Against that backdrop, the Jamaican press is being asked to do more with less in a higher stakes information environment, while competing with platforms that have no editors, no libel lawyers, and no obligation to the truth. Joining me now to discuss all of this is Jovan Johnson, Press Association of Jamaica Treasurer. Jovan, thank you so very much for joining us inside Lead Story.
Thank you very much, Jody, and good evening to your viewers.
This is
Good morning, good evening, or something.
Yeah, man, it's evening now.
All over.
I know that you're all over the world, and we have a global audience following us here on the show. So, yes, somebody somewhere is good morning, somewhere is good evening. But, Jovan,
Absolutely.
This year's Press Week's theme is Truth Always. Why did the association say that message felt most important in this moment?
Because in the end, that's what it boils down to in terms of why we're communicating to people. What do we want people to understand? How do we want people to make informed decisions about their lives? How do we want people to be able to question those in power, those in government, those who are spending their tax dollars, those who are exercising, in the context of the public, authority that they derive from the people. People need to get information that they can rely on, that is credible, that is the truth. That is the foundation on which anything else can be built. And it seems simple, but isn't it obvious? But in this era, and you I think outlined a very good context, the changes that are occurring politically, geopolitically, industry-wise, the flux, the confusion, the crisis, one may even put it, in terms of the media and traditional media in particular, navigating this new space with the technological changes and so on. We have to go back to core principles, and we have to organize. It's easy in a crisis to find the easiest thing or find solutions that we think will make sense. But once we understand our core purpose, what it is that we do, what it is that we're asking the public to accept from us, then in this crisis, as we try to find new solutions, everything fits around that. And it's very important for us that we center that issue of truth. So that's why we chose Truth Always for this week.
That's the work that you do, that's the work that I do. But the Press Association of Jamaica is also celebrating this week. Today, the PAJ honored 5 distinguished veterans of this industry, men and women whose decades of service, editorial leadership, and mentorship have strengthened public trust in Jamaican media. The honorees this year are Simone Clark, Marlene Stevenson Daly, Pete Sankey, Rudolph Brown, and from right here at CVM Television, Kingsley Super T Thompson. So before we get into anything, on behalf of this program and the network, congratulations to all 5, especially our extra special Kingsley, because that is incredible work. What does it mean at a time like this, Jovan, to honor these men and women in the profession?
Let me join again in congratulating all of our honorees via this platform. It's important because we're celebrating the persons, of course, and their dedication, but it is the work that they did. As a journalist, as young members of the profession, like both of us are, we stand on their work. The challenges that they had to go through, the resources that they had to work with, but what was central for them was a duty, an obligation. One of our journalism scholars talks about journalism as an obligation to the truth, and these, all 6 of them, demonstrated that in all the capacities that they worked. And that's the beauty of, that's the diversity of the group as well. We have broadcasters, we have people who are, as we'd say, quote unquote, behind the camera, as well, in all kinds of spheres, the editors, the people who are the standard bearers and the gatekeepers, playing their different roles in ensuring that truth was or remained paramount, and that journalists like myself who grew up in the system were introduced in a system that we had examples to follow. We had people who would guide us, who would be there to take our questions, help us to navigate the changes in the profession, both in terms of the technological changes. People talk about artificial intelligence now. It's a part of our reality. But what are those things supposed to be organized around? The principles, the foundation, the verification, the giving people the opportunity, being fair. These 6 ensure that the ramparts of journalism, the foundation, remain and persist regardless of the change. And it's important to honor them, because what we're saying to those who are studying in the universities and colleges, those who are looking on, that here are the examples. Look at what they did regardless of the changes, regardless of the challenges around them.
I think that's so important, because while you were speaking, we showed a video montage of Kingsley showing how long he's been in the business, 40 years, what that looks like, the various changes he would have seen. And then we also showed those awardees today, some of them in person, others standing in for them as they collected their PAJ awards. But Jovan, the reality is stark. The theme this year is truth always, but in an era where a rumor can circulate the globe before a verified report clears our editor's desk. What does it mean to that commitment to truth? And what does it actually cost a journalist or a media house that chooses to uphold it at a time like this?
I lost you for a few seconds there, the last part of the question.
So I said that when you can have a rumor go around the world before someone like you or I can go and check, fact check, double check, make sure that it is sound, everybody hears it. What does it mean then for journalists to uphold that truth always theme that you have? And what does it cost that journalist and a media house that chooses to uphold it?
We have to hold on to the core values. We have to. The fact-checking, as you say, the verification, the accuracy, the fairness, the right of reply, the research, ensuring that your work is proper. It doesn't mean that we ignore the changes in technology. We can't. Media refers to technology in its singular sense in that way. How we get information to people. So we can't ignore the changes. How do we adapt to ensure that the work that we do is able to reach the audiences as varied as they are as quickly as possible, but as accurate and as correct and as factual as possible. And it's a challenge. So you will sacrifice sometimes being first. Well, because if that doesn't mean you're always right. You will sacrifice the clicks and the likes and the virality, as we call it. But what you are doing in ensuring that, in as much as you adapt to the nature of the technologies that we're doing, what you're doing is that you're ensuring that people in the end can count on you for credibility, for fairness, for accuracy, knowing that you will bring not just the breaking news, but the context behind the news. What does this mean for people?
That's so important that you've said that, Jovan, especially in the framework of the kind of show that we have here at Lead Story, the kind of work that you and all of these persons tonight that have been honored, and the work that you as part of the executive of the Press Association of Jamaica does. Quickly for you, somebody 18 years old, passionate about truth, considering a career in journalism, they ask you, is it worth it to come into this? Is it worth it to commit their life? What's your quick answer for them?
It is absolutely worth it. When you look at the kind of where you are, bringing issues to the fore, helping people to understand a policy position, helping people to question the government, to question their leaders, to force them to explain away even what is uncomfortable or what they might consider not in their interest. And when you help people to realize what exactly is happening and how their lives are being impacted, it's absolutely immense. It's a great responsibility. It's a great responsibility. When we're wrong, we have to accept that we're wrong and we have to go back and review our processes. But we're in a position where people look to us to not just tell them what something is, but help them to understand what it means so that they can make informed choices for the betterment of their family. And it's a daily thing.
It is a daily thing.
Yes.
And every single day, somebody is listening and watching to see what happens to them and their family based on the work that the Press Association's members and the wider media does here in Jamaica. Jovan Johnson, Press Association of Jamaica Treasurer, thank you for spending time with us inside Lead Story as we discuss Press Week 2026.
Thank you, Judy.
All right, we're going to take a break and come back to you. Yesterday in New Kingston, Jamaicans exercised their democratic right. Another one, right to peaceful assembly. We'll talk to CVM's Kevin Black, who was at Emancipation Park yesterday as the nation gathered to protest for Melissa Silvera. Stay with us.
Hi, I am Kendi Pangat.
What a guan?
What's a guan?
That's a go on, pa.
What a guan? What a guan?
What a one! Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m.
On CVM TV.
That's a guan, pa. What a guan?
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Welcome back. In a constitutional democracy, two things can be simultaneously true. The judiciary can be carrying out its work independently, rigorously, and without interference, and the people can be exercising their constitutional right under Section 23 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms to peaceful assembly and freedom of expression. Both of those things were true yesterday in Kingston. On November 11th, 2023, Melissa Silvera, a chemical engineering graduate of the University of Virginia, a process engineer, and marketing and economics coordinator at the state-owned Petrojam refinery, was found dead in her family home. She was 42 years old. She was discovered by one of her children, who was then 10 years old. Her husband, Julian Silvera, former member of parliament, was charged with murder and illegal possession of a firearm. In February of this year, Julian Silvera entered a guilty plea. The murder charge was reduced to manslaughter on the basis of provocation defense, and the Director of Public Prosecutions issued a public statement on February 6th explaining the evidentiary basis for accepting that plea. Under the Firearms Act, the minimum sentence for the firearm charge is 15 years. The maximum is life imprisonment. The maximum penalty for manslaughter is also life imprisonment. Chief Justice Brian Sykes will sentence Julian Silvera this Friday, March 6th. The hearing will be open to the public and will be live streamed on the judiciary's social media platforms. Now, here on Lead Story, we're not speculating on the outcome of these proceedings. That's not our job. But it's a function of the court to do that. What we'll report on is what happened yesterday at Emancipation Park in New Kingston. And for that, we go to CVM's Kevin Black. Thanks for joining me on set, Kevin.
I'm happy to be here.
Kevin, yesterday we saw a protest take place inside Emancipation Park. We had the protest organizers come here on set talking to us about what they were planning to do. What did you see yesterday on the ground?
I must preface by saying I'm slightly unwell, and so were the people there. They were feeling unwell about the situation itself. We saw well-wishers, we saw other participants, people who went to school with Silvera, we saw family members, we spoke to some of them. We were taken back in time. So a group of people from Immaculate Conception the class of 1997, they were explaining how they were in chemistry class, they were sitting on the floor playing, and they were asking me, how did we go from this to her being brutally murdered? And they were pretty much distraught. It was a peaceful protest. There was no, we want justice, there was no aggression. But the people there were concerned, they want change. And they were pointing out to different acts of violence towards women which have been happening in recent time, and they wanted to stop. They wanted to significantly lessen, and they believe that by carrying out this protest, they can help to propagate that change that they wish to see.
How large a protest was it yesterday? What was the turnout like, and what was the atmosphere throughout the event?
The atmosphere was pretty calm. The protest wasn't as big as one would expect. Probably a couple dozen people by estimation. But it was, the people there were actively parading around, showing the signage, and they were willing to talk to the media. And they were expressing their varying concerns. They are sick and tired and fed up, and they expressed that. Some members of the family were there, and they expressed how it has affected the family, and she was seemingly a good person too.
Is this the Melissa side of the family that you're speaking of, or Julian Silvera's side?
The Melissa side of the family.
Okay.
And it seems like she was seemingly a good person based on other remarks. I spoke to some persons who lived in the same apartment as her. They said she was very cordial. She was always good-mannered. She wasn't hype, as they described it. She was very down to earth, and she oftentimes took time out of her day to interact with people, check if they were okay. She would always say good morning, good afternoon, and she was very fun to be around. The co-workers as well, a few co-workers were there, and they were like, she was pleasant to work with. The schoolmates, they were random people who didn't know her at all, but they were supporting the movement that violence towards women as a whole needs to lessen and eventually come to an end.
What did you see on those signs?
So the signs were talking about provocation. Oh, please, that was on one of the signs. And the signs were basically talking about the grounds for the case and her husband pleading guilty. So the signs were saying mouth versus gun, and a lot of things. The signs were ridiculing some aspects of the case that weren't favorable with the public.
And that is some of the hashtags that they had used on their promotional material as well for this protest. Did the organizers indicate whether they plan any further actions or demonstrations?
So we were unable to speak to the organizers, and we mostly speak to the well-wishers and the families and other participants. However, given that the sentencing is on Friday, I think it's very unlikely that another protest would be staged, but the ongoing concerns will be publicly expressed via social media and other mediums through the following days.
And Kevin, based on what you saw and heard yesterday, do you expect a significant public presence outside the court on Friday when that sentencing of Julian Silvera is now handed down by the court?
I do, because the Jamaican people are very passionate about this case. It is a case that has taken over social media for the longest while now, and for good reason. There has been a lot of things happening to women recently which has sparked the outcry. Not just this case. I recall doing a report not too long ago on a rape case that happened in Portland, which outraged a lot of people. There was overwhelming support, not only from women, but men as well. Old men, young men, and people of all ages were sick and tired of what is happening to women. Other incidents, I did another report as well, near Devon House, where there was this young man that is allegedly harassing women, and those incidents came together and it amalgamated, and it boisted up this rage among the public. So people are just angry and sick and tired. It is upsetting the people, and I believe that rage will translate to a large and sizable turnout.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News there, telling us what he saw on the ground in New Kingston yesterday. Breaking news for you, though, before we end the show, because we have word now that police are at the scene of a gruesome attack on the compound of Ocho Rios High School in St. Anne. And we have joining us there on the ground live, Kirk Hall, one of our reporters. Kirk, thanks so much for joining us inside Lead Story.
Yes, good afternoon.
Kirk, what are you seeing there at Ocho Rios High?
what I'm seeing now is we have scene of crime personnel here, and we have detectives from the Ocho Rios police station that are here now. And just about 2 minutes ago, I got the word of confirmation that the little boy has lost the battle and he has died.
The initial reports were that a male student was attacked by another student with an implement used to hit him in the head. Do we have any confirmation what that was?
Well, I was told when I get to the school earlier that they had some argument, and one used a chair to hit the other one in the head. And he was taken to the St. Anne's Bay Hospital, where minutes ago he has succumbed to his injuries.
That's devastating news, Kirk. Do you have a sense of how old these children were?
No, I don't have the age as yet, but I'm on the ground, so I'm trying to get that confirmation from the police.
And Kirk, we know that you'll bring us that information later on in news. Thanks so much for telling us about this horrific story happening there at the Ocho Rios High School in St. Anne, giving us live reporting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kirk Hall, talking to us there. So it's been a rough day. The world is moving, and it's moving fast. A missile flew over a NATO nuclear host state this morning. A strait that carries 1/5 of the world's oil is closed. A budget here in Jamaica is being written for a country still recovering from one storm, and now another is forming. This one, geopolitical, and it has no season. The Don Road Doctrine is reshaping this hemisphere. CARICOM is under pressure. The press is fighting to stay standing. And the nation is now 2 days away from a courtroom moment that has forced it to look at itself. We also just heard the horrific tale of a young child who's now killed on a school compound. None of these stories are happening to someone else. They're happening to us, to this economy, to this region, to this society, the Jamaican family that budgets this week, watching gas prices, waiting on a verdict, and trying to make sense of a world that feels increasingly beyond anyone's control. We leave you with this question tonight. It's a human one. In a serious moment like this,
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's human development.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, in custody, police locate mother suspected of drowning 2-month-old baby. Avoid all travel to the Middle East. Government issues warning to Jamaicans amid epic fury turmoil. Marching for peace. Children in St. Anne stage peace walk against violence in Jamaica. In the business report, the Pan Jamaica Group records $8.1 billion profit for 2025. And we'll also have the latest on what's happening in sports.